Welcome back to Ghost Airfields. In the Station 142 episode, we introduced you to our first airfield location at Deopham Green. We told you a few details about the brave men who served there during World War II and shared the excitement of our investigation there. In fact, we had so much happen there on the night we simply could not fit it all into one episode. We had to go back again, as there was so much unfinished business that we had to attend to. We also want to take a more in-depth look at our experiences and to share a few more stories about the base. So let's return to Station 142 and reveal just a little bit more about this wonderfully atmospheric place. Here we are again, back at Deopham Green. We've come back because we need to do a finishing off video just to let you know exactly what we experienced here. And the weirdest thing is, we're back here again. It's what, 20 past 10?
Yeah, it's
on a
crazy.
Thursday morning, and
it starts again.
We've had activity.
It's bizarre.
It's absolutely mad.
This is in a different place though. We're at the memorial at the moment. So we've already heard voices.
Yeah, murmuring voices in the background, very faint, but
yeah,
you were saying something, weren't you? And it repeated what you said. Yeah,
that was really, really weird. I was kind of semi-singing a song as we got out of the car and we're putting things together.
We were testing the microphones just to make sure they worked okay.
And then basically, as I sang a song, it repeated what I was singing. And I don't know if anyone has ever experienced that, but that's a new one to me, to actually have something repeat what you were singing back.
So strange.
It was like an echo. And that's just a digger going past. Bit noisy. We're in country.
It's country life, isn't it?
Country
That's what
life,
it is.
boy.
But the site here, it never ceases to amaze us.
No.
Deopham Green never stops giving. We've been here, this is our third visit here now. We've come back today mainly because we need to do some video shorts just to link all our experiences together from when we came the first time and the second time we came to just sort out some spirits that were here. This is the memorial site. This is the first site we stopped at, and this is where you first started picking up on people that were here.
It was.
Yeah.
It's actually really interesting because most of the investigations that we've done, we haven't had a whole lot of activity, and you know, Tracy and myself can pick up on things and say things and, you know, recap things that have happened in the past, and we have done that, and we've been, what would you say, we've been accurate? Yeah,
you've had some experiences where you've been very, very accurate, and you sort of go back and look at things and find it out, but this one
was just different because we started getting activity almost immediately, and I'm not just talking me picking up on things, I'm talking the kit demonstrating that, you know, something was happening within our environment, be it paranormal, be it something else, you know, where even though I'm a psychic by trade, in my spare time, you know, I'm always open to scientific suggestion as well.
First experiences felt at this part of the site were groups of figures just standing and watching. And I think that's the first experience that you had, was a group of figures just watching us.
Yeah, that's right. There was about, I think, 10, maybe 12 men, and they were sort of standing with their arms crossed in front of them, just very calmly, just kind of observing, you know, what was going on. Wasn't really much activity more than that, just the fact that they were there. Whether it was residual energy or something active, I don't know. But they were definitely just observing what was going on.
Which leads me onto one of the first ghost stories for the site.
Ooh.
I know, you were waiting for this, weren't you?
Yeah.
What happened here, it's a pull off the main road. A young man had been out clubbing, Norwich, a few miles away from here, been out clubbing for the night, pulled up in the car park, playing some banging tunes on his hi-fi, desperate to go to the toilet.
Ew.
He opens the door, stands out in his car, and he's just getting ready to go when he senses there's someone there. And he turns around and looks to one side, and there's a figure standing there watching him in full pilot uniform.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. Freaked the guy out completely, as you can imagine, ran back into his car and just shot off. Not entirely certain whether he wet himself, but I'm pretty certain that I probably would if I'd experienced
So do you
that.
know, this chap in uniform, did he actually look at the young man?
He did.
Ah.
He looked straight at him, and the
Right.
guy said he had a really disparaging look on his face, which is not surprising when you're here at the memorial site standing here peeing. It's desecration more than anything
Yeah,
else,
it's disrespectful.
and an insult, to tell the truth. Also, in this same area again, there's a lady who walks her dogs on a regular basis, and we were told this story by some people we met on the first visit here.
Well, you were,
Well, I was. You weren't allowed
I wasn't
to
allowed
hear.
to listen. I was sent away.
I wouldn't let Juliette hear the stories. They told me the story about the guy in the car as well, and I'd found that on the internet after doing a thorough search to try and find out more stories about the site. The lady who came here on a regular visit with the dogs has seen individual airmen walking about in this area. One day she took her dogs, and behind us here, there's some fields and things. This is part of the old runway, one of the offshoots of the auxiliary runways that goes off down this way. She was walking down this part of the runway and she saw figures standing in the field looking at her. She wasn't entirely certain how many figures were there, but she said it could have been about 10 or so. That makes us think that
That's
Juliette,
interesting.
yeah, you've picked up
I
on the
didn't
same
know
sort of thing,
this.
which is why I kept it quiet.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm picking up what she's seen then. And do you know exactly where this happened? Did she say?
She just said it was in the fields down here.
So it's in this location?
It's in this location,
Because
so-
I picked up people sort of, well, you can't see, but where the car is parked. So, you know, effectively to the left of the camera.
You also picked up people further down when we stopped on the main runway.
I did, yeah. I
It was
did.
the same experience again.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah.
That's really interesting that we're picking up the same amount of people as well.
Yeah.
Did she said they were uniformed?
All in flying gear.
Yeah, it's the same. Wow.
And see, the figure 10 is very, very important in this because stationed here at Deopham were B-17 Flying Fortress planes. They had a crew of 10 men. So what you're seeing is an entire crew of a plane.
Wow.
Looking into the archives, there are lots of planes that went down and lost their entire crew. That makes you wonder whether or not it's a crew that's come back here because it's the last place that they can remember before they were shot down.
That's really sad, and they never actually got to go home.
No. What are you getting, Juliette?
Okay, my legs have turned icy cold as we're walking down here. And I am getting the impression that we are not alone. But it's just so quiet. It's like they're not communicating that much. It's all just such quiet energy.
It's like they're watching us, isn't it?
It's either watching or residual. I'm just not sure at the moment. There's definitely something here.
This is where we're heading. This is one of the auxiliary runways off the main runway. We didn't come here when we investigated. We just thought we'd have a walk down here now because it's light and we can see what we're doing.
Okay, just heard someone behind me.
It keeps on giving.
This is amazing.
It's just such an incredible sight.
Even in broad daylight.
And you wouldn't think that this, you can see it. It's completely rural. All we've got is just this. This is echoes, bits of concrete. This is why we came back again. We just had to come back and visit here. Let's take a look at some of the evidence we gathered on the night. First of all, the voices that we heard from our PSB-11 spirit box. We always try to ask simple questions that require simple answers, and we were rather surprised by some of the answers that we got. Listen carefully and see what you hear. Nothing on my K2.
No. Help us.
Was that
Sounded like
help us?
Were you on one of the planes that left here? Edward. Steve, I'm so sorry. Steve. Again.
I have always been very sceptical about the spirit box device. Auditory apophenia can make us hear what we want to hear, but we asked some relevant questions and we got very clear and relevant answers. After this experience, I'm not entirely certain what I think about them now. We also received the correct yes and no responses to some of our questions, and when we asked for names, we were given the names Steve and Edward. The name Steve was to become very relevant as the investigation went on. At the start of the Spirit Box session, we asked the question, what would you like us to do? And we got the answer, stay and help us. Could this be a link to what happened next? Very strange. We were just about to drive off down the road to go to another location to look at some old buildings. Sat in the car, getting ourselves prepared, and all of a sudden we hear this. Like someone trying to attract our attention. It's happening on the car from outside.
So I'm
But it's not like someone had thrown something.
Yeah,
it was a deliberate
very strange.
on the car. Really weird. We come out to have a look, see what we could see, and there's no one here. And this was to be a recurring theme throughout the entire investigation. Strange things happening as we moved from one location to another. It was as if they were trying to tell us something, but they just couldn't get through. It's so beautiful here. I think that's part of why the site feels so sort of, I don't know, magical? Is that a word you could use for it?
Yeah. It's very
just
peaceful.
It's there. That's the word I'm trying to find.
It's got a good feel about it.
It does. You don't feel anything bad about it. You just feel, I don't know, a weird sense of sorrow, I suppose.
Yeah.
Would be the best way to describe it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's funny to think of the activity that went here.
But just not in a horrible way.
You need to get recording. I can hear voices right now.
I am recording.
Excellent.
What have we got?
I had voices just here.
The same murmurings like we had before?
Yeah, but they were slightly louder. I'm hoping if you've been recording,
we may get something.
You can isolate the sound.
We can see.
And see if...
This is not what we came here for today.
No.
We came here today to actually try and do a video to wind up what was going on. We find ourselves instead having yet another experience at Deopham Green.
It sounded to me like the voices weren't male. It sounded like they were female, though. They wouldn't have women. Would they have women on the base?
Do you know what? I don't know. I'd have to check on that.
It sounded like females.
There's a possibility. I'd have to check.
Okay.
I honestly don't know.
Okay. Do we have ladies with us now? If we have any ladies with us, can you make yourselves known to us, please?
With Juliette picking up on the voices of women, I did a little research, and women did indeed serve on the bases. The Women's Army Corps was deployed at the airfields, and they undertook some very important roles, such as plotters, telephone switchboard operators, clerks, typists, secretaries and motor pool drivers. There are also the donut dollies. This was a popular term used to refer to the American Red Cross women who volunteered to work overseas in mobile service clubs called Club Mobiles. These Red Cross volunteers served to provide food, entertainment and a bit of a connection to home for the servicemen stationed in Great Britain. There would be visits from the flying nurses of the Army Nurse Corps, picking up wounded aircrew to transfer them to hospitals. And many other nurses looked after these wounded men in the military hospitals serving the bases. In all, over 150,000 American women served in the Women's Army Corps across all theatres of the Second World War.
Nothing.
Odd, isn't it? Really odd.
There seems to be, when we start talking, it seems to begin.
It's sort of hiding behind the noise of us.
Yeah.
Or maybe the fact that we're talking is the thing that triggers the event. The fact that they're not used to sort of hearing people
Yeah, exactly.
walking up and down here and talking, maybe.
Interesting.
It was here, on this unassuming piece of concrete, that perhaps the most amazing sequence of events took place on the night of the investigation. A simple response on a K2 meter developed into something really quite extraordinary. Okay, Juliet's got something on the K2 meter. We have none of our kit on here. No phones on, no nothing. We've turned the radio mics off as well because the K2 reacts to those. And it was flashing.
It was flashing. Let's see if I can get him back. Steve, can you help me out with this? Please.
Can you flash the device
K2,
again?
Make the K2 flash for me, the device in my left hand. Thank you. I get the impression that, Steve, if you're here, you're trying to show me something.
We kept getting the same response on the meter. Questions asked and flashing lights. Until...
Okay, so here we are back at the site again, where you may remember on the previous video that I saw a man, a shadow man, standing where the camera is now, and we're both in the car, where we were before. And I glanced out, it was obviously dark, and I saw a man, a figure of a man just standing there. I couldn't make out any details, but it was just a dark figure.
Just quickly got out of the car because, well, Juliet. What did you see?
I saw someone standing here, just a figure, a black figure standing, and I am freezing, bitterly cold. My spidey senses, all up my arm, all the hairs on my arms are standing up.
The thing with this is, spotting the shadow figure outside was the fact that once again we were going to leave. No, we're not.
It was really strange.
We had so many experiences where we were going to leave an area, and further down the runway here we had the car tapping incident where something was tapping on the outside of the car as we were about to leave. We were about to leave this site again to go off back down to where the memorial is, and once again we get your shadow figure.
Yeah, it was very odd. It was just, I glanced over and there was just this dark shadow of what looked like a man just standing there, almost like he was looking into or at the car.
Yeah, so strange.
Right, this shoulder, I've just been touched on this shoulder, this side. Do you know what, it's always this, and my back has just been touched.
I just saw a shadow come across your back.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if I got it on here or not, but I did. And then you said, wow. This is unbelievable. We're sitting in the car, just ready to drive off, and no word of a lie, we have had shadows moving across the front of the car. And it's like people walking past, you know, like a series of figures walking past. It's unbelievable. We're hoping that we got it on camera. We can't promise because it is quite dark here, but I've never seen anything like it. The first shadow that came past went really quickly, didn't it?
There's still shadows. Look.
Still doing it.
Good Lord.
Incredible. I've never seen anything like this. Never seen anything like this. What do you think?
I'm blown away. I am absolutely blown away. I'm just trying to get my head around this. I mean, I have no idea. We're both set. It's still going. It's still happening.
It's
just no idea, possibly, what this could be. It's like people moving around is the only way. There it is again.
Again, yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know what it is. We really don't know what it is. This is so weird. It's almost exactly the same as it was when we were here last week. It's another hot night. There are bugs fluttering about outside, and it's slightly breezy like it was last time as well. And there is absolutely nothing going on. Now, we came here this evening to try and debunk this, and I think we might have captured something last time around. We captured something extraordinary. It looks completely different in the daylight. You wouldn't have thought we'd have had the experience that we had here on the night. So calm, so quiet. Just a simple bit of country road. But hiding underneath that country road is the runway from Deopham Green. Juliette picked up on a crash, cracked windscreen of a plane, people running about. We could smell burning as well. Who's to say that maybe those shadows were a residual of what happened? A plane coming down, people dashing around trying to put the fire out, the crew getting out of it. There were many planes that came down here, shot up, badly damaged, that just crash landed onto the runway. Just glad to be back at Deopham Green. And it was the number of experiences that we had, the figures watching, people standing watching.
Yeah.
Always seemed to be, every time we were about, anywhere on the site at all, we had figures watching us. Just sort of sitting there, standing there.
Yeah. I mean, the stuff we captured, the live stuff when we were filming and live streaming to Facebook, the shadows outside the front of the car, I just blew me away. I couldn't understand what they were. And I mean, I've played that back several times and looked at it, trying to make sense of it in my head.
Just can't figure it out.
We debunked it. We knew it wasn't moths, because sometimes moths can appear as large shadows in front of car headlamps. We all know that. But you went out, you debunked it. I had a go at debunking it.
We were outside. I stood outside the front of the car watching, and you were saying shadow, and I was looking for insects, and there were none.
Yeah.
We're doing exactly the same thing. We desperately tried to debunk the whole thing. Yeah.
And what interested me as well is some of the shadows, some of the earlier ones, to the left of the front of the car, when we were filming from the inside of the car, it looked almost like they were propeller blades.
Slowly turning. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what
Really
it looked like,
did.
because it was almost, if it was an insect, it wouldn't be a regular thing. This was like a regular shadow, and it was in time, like something was
Going round and
turning.
round. It was just, it
most
was
odd.
like a propeller turning. It was very, very strange.
The return visit to Deopham Green Air Base was again an interesting one. It was very calm and serene on that sunshiny day. There was a gentle breeze rustling through the trees, and it was quite similar actually to how the weather was during our first visit to the location. I still cannot believe some of the things that we witnessed that night at Deopham Green. The movement in front of the car, the cold spots, feelings of being touched, the reaction of the K2 meter, and of course, picking up on Steve at the airbase. You would think Steve was a common name at that time, but following our investigation, Nigel informed me that there were only 2 Steves based at that airbase, and I had picked up on one of them. A B-17 top gunner and engineer who was telling me that he needed help. Each time we tried to leave that location, there was some activity. Something strange happened. It was almost like Steve didn't want us to leave him. That was why I simply had to return. I always try and help Spirit if I can, and Steve was clearly in need of help. Arriving back at the scene of the runway, getting back in touch with Steve, I suddenly realised what his urgency was all about. It wasn't just Steve that needed help. I picked up on about 10 men, an entire B-17 plane crew. No wonder he wanted me to stay. He was trying to help his men to safety and peace. So, as the night fell, I started to try and cross Steve and his crew over. I had the spirit box and the K2 meter running. Nigel was watching. We didn't have the cameras running, as I asked Nigel during this emotional time not to record us. What came up on the spirit box verified what I'd picked up on. A man ushered the word a couple of times. Skip! Skip! Whilst I was asking Steve to cross over, it was as if his crew were asking Steve what to do and where to go. Let's face it, it's not often you're told to transition towards a bright light. As I slowly and calmly ushered them into the light, there was a flash, and then all was quiet. The K2 meter was no longer picking up on any strong activity. The spirit box was quiet, and I felt in my soul that they had finally gone to a well-deserved rest. I will miss Steve. The emotions I sensed during my short time with him were intense and really made me get a sense of what these amazing and dedicated men did for us. I will be eternally thankful for what they sacrificed to give us the lives that we have today. Thank you, Steve, and all your comrades who flew with you. Rest in peace.
I didn't expect much when we arrived here. After all, there's not an awful lot left of what was once a bustling American Air Force base. Just fields and the quiet calm of the Norfolk countryside. The investigation itself, however, was a whole lot more than I bargained for. You're hit by the sense of atmosphere here. I'm no psychic, but I could not help feeling there was something here. And I was to experience things that made me reconsider some of my more sceptical views. We've already covered off the events that took place on our first investigation. Needless to say, they were fascinating in their own right. It was the second visit, however, that opened my eyes to more possibilities. I had never witnessed spirit being passed over. I was there to support Juliette as she went about her task and was totally unprepared for what happened next. As Juliette was passing the first spirit over, I saw the flash. I actually saw the flash of light as he crossed. Standing slightly behind Juliette, I could feel the others brushing past me and could sense their relief as they walked towards Juliette and the portal she had opened. As the last of them crossed over, I was overcome with emotion. Tears rolled down my face. And no, I'm not ashamed to admit that. Such a profound and utterly moving experience. So, a bit of an epiphany, you could say. Will I still question everything? Yes, of course I will, because it's so important to do that. But on this occasion, I have no questions. Just a wonderful memory of a truly inspiring moment. We've had such wonderful experiences here, and I think it's going to be a site that we're going to come back to again and again, just to see what else we can pick up here.
It would be nice to bring, I know COVID is in the way at the moment, but I miss the rest of the team terribly, and it would be lovely to bring the team in.
It would be
on
great
this.
to have everybody else here, and there's lots of things that we can run here as well. Experiments that we want to run, sessions that we like to run here that we didn't have a chance to do on the night because we just were completely unprepared for what we got. It was just incredible.
Amazing.
Incredible.
And it's one of the best ones I've personally have done.
I think it's possibly the best investigation I've ever been on for experiences. You know, for the actual depth of the experience itself, what exactly happened, how it made you feel, the things that went on. It was just amazing.
Very emotive.
For something like this, that it really is nothing here. There's just bits, but those bits hold so much history, and that's the thing.
And we hope that we've brought a little bit of history to you. Nigel worked very, very hard and spent many, many hours researching and finding the footage, so you could kind of get a feel for what used to go on here.
That's what it's all about. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.